A Meme for Money by L. Randall Wray. A meme for deficits. When government spends more than it taxes, we not only get the services and infrastructure that we need, but we also get to accumulate net financial wealth. We are richer in both real terms and financial terms. Government also offers to pay us interest on that financial wealth if we prefer to hold treasuries rather than high-powered money. Government spending greater than taxing should not be called a deficit. Rather, it is government's contribution to our saving. Government bonds are not debt. They are our net financial wealth. Deficits and debts are bad framing. Saving and wealth are good framing. The clock that used to sit in Times Square doesn't record our national government's debt. Rather, it shows our net financial wealth. President Obama had added trillions and trillions to our financial wealth, making up for some of the losses Wall Street imposed on us. Thanks, Uncle Sam. Of course, as discussed above, government can spend too much, even if it balances its budget. It might not leave sufficient resources to promote the private purpose. It might cause inflation and currency depreciation. But there is no automatic causal sequence running directly from a budget deficit to inflation. Indeed, to a large extent, the government's ex post budgetary outcome is not discretionary, as it depends on the non-government sector's actions. At the aggregate level, a government deficit is offset by and identically equal to a non-government surplus, and a government surplus is offset by a non-government deficit. The government's budget can balance spending equals taxes only if the non-government sector's budget balances spending equals income. The non-government sector's balance is complexly determined and indeed depends partly on the government's actions, but we can take it as at least somewhat discretionary. To the extent that the non-government sector, which includes the domestic private sector plus the rest of the world, that includes both foreign governments and private sectors, exercises discretion over its budget, it means the government's budgetary outcome is not discretionary. The government and non-government are thus inexplicably bound in an inescapable balance. It makes no sense to talk about a government deficit as either imbalanced or unsustainable. A government deficit will result if the non-government sector has a surplus, a perfect balance, and can persist as long as the non-government sector wills it to be so, a perfectly sustainable balance. Balance is balance. Of course they do. Calls to cut the government's debt are equivalently, by identity, calls to cut our net financial wealth. Fiscal austerians are, by definition, wealth destroyers. And they are not just any wealth destroyers. They destroy the safest and most liquid kind of wealth we can hold, government IOUs. We like it when the government owes us. Why on earth do the austerians want to turn the tables? Reducing the number of government owed me's would be the happier if we all owed the government? Holding a government owes me is like holding a get-out-of-jail-free card. If worse comes to worse, I can pay my taxes or other bills and stay out of jail.